The following Monday, I dropped Emily and Jacob at school and drove straight to Grant's office. I was restless, like a storm trapped under my skin. The black car from the pizza night haunted me, and Denton's name was all I could think about. Grant was already waiting, coffee in hand, stacks of papers scattered across his desk. I traced Denton's bank deposits, he said, pointing to highlighted lines on a printout. The money didn't just appear. It came from a shell account tied to one of Mercer's clients. My stomach twisted. So Mercer's in this too? Grant gave me a look that said, of course he is. Reuben's lawyer didn't just advise him. He built the whole machine. The will forgery, the land transfer, the lottery cover. It all threads back to him. I gripped the edge of the desk. Then Denton is the weak link. If we can get him to talk. Grant cut me off with a raised hand. Careful, Paulina. Men like Denton don't fold easily. He knows if he talks, Mercer and Reuben will bury him. His words should have scared me, but instead they fueled me. So what do we do? Grant leaned back, tapping his pen against the desk. We find leverage. Something Denton doesn't want exposed. Everyone has a crack. That evening, I sat in the living room folding laundry while Emily hummed softly beside me. Jacob was in his room, his music leaking through the walls. For a moment, it almost felt like life before the lottery. Then the phone rang. I picked up, expecting it to be Grant. Instead, silence. Hello. A click. The line went dead. I stood frozen, the receiver pressed to my ear long after the call ended. It wasn't the first time. This had been happening for days. Silent calls at odd hours. No voice, just a presence. Watching. Listening. When I finally set the phone down, I caught Emily watching me. Was it Dad? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. I forced a smile. No, sweetheart. Just a wrong number. But inside, my resolve hardened. Reuben was escalating. And if he thought fear would break me, he didn't know me at all. 2 days later, Grant called with news. I tracked Denton. He frequents a small bar on the south side. Low-profile, cash only. If we want answers, that's where we'll find him. The thought of confronting Denton sent adrenaline rushing through me. Then let's go. Paulina, Grant said firmly, you need to let me handle this. It's dangerous. I clenched my jaw. This is my fight too. I won't sit at home while you chase my husband's lies. He sighed, but he didn't argue. That night, Grant and I drove to the bar. It was dimly lit, neon signs flickering against cracked windows. The smell of beer and stale smoke hit me the second we stepped inside. At a corner table, hunched over a drink, sat Carl Denton. Mid-40s, balding, nervous energy rolling off him in waves. Grant motioned for me to stay back, but I followed him anyway. My pulse thundered as we approached the table. Mr. Denton, Grant said smoothly. Mind if we sit? Denton's eyes darted between us. Suspicion etched across his face. Who the hell are you? Grant slid into the seat across from him. Someone who knows you signed off on Reuben Hartwell's lottery claim. And someone who knows your bank account got very healthy afterward. Denton stiffened. His hand gripped the edge of his glass. I don't know what you're talking about. I leaned in before Grant could speak again. Listen to me. I'm Reuben's wife. He abandoned me and our children after that win. I know what you did, and I know Mercer's involved. If you don't help us, you'll go down with them. For a moment, Denton's mask cracked. His eyes flickered with fear. Then he pushed back his chair abruptly. I don't know anything, he muttered, tossing a few bills on the table before storming out. Grant exhaled, rubbing his temples. That was risky, but I couldn't stop replaying the look in Denton's eyes. He was scared. And scared men slip up. As we walked back to the car, I felt the hairs on my neck rise. Across the street, under the glow of a street lamp, the black car idled again. Watching. Waiting. I tightened my coat around me. Reuben wasn't just protecting his secrets. He was shadowing every step I took. And if Denton wouldn't talk willingly, I'd just have to find another way to make him. Denton's refusal lingered in my chest like a stone. His eyes had told me everything his mouth wouldn't. He was scared, trapped, and tangled too deep in Mercer's web to risk speaking. But silence can be more dangerous than words. The next morning, as I walked the kids to the car for school, I spotted it again. That same black sedan, parked half a block down. The driver didn't move. Didn't roll down his window. Just sat there. Watching. Jacob saw it too. That's the same car from the pizza place, he muttered, his fists balling. He's following us. I put a hand on his shoulder. Don't look. Just get in the car. Emily's voice wavered. Mom, are we in danger? I forced calm into my tone, though my stomach twisted. Not if we stick together. Not if we stay smart. But inside, I knew the truth. Reuben was tightening the rope. Later that day, Grant called. His voice was low, urgent. I had a contact run Denton's name through a few systems. He's dirty all right, gambling debts, overdue taxes, even a suspended mortgage. Reuben didn't just pick him at random. He bought him. I swallowed hard. Which means we can use him. He's vulnerable. Grant hesitated. Yes. But press too hard, and Mercer will realize we're circling. He'll shut Denton down for good. I thought of Denton's nervous eyes in that smoky bar, the way his hands shook when I mentioned Mercer's name. He was already breaking. He just needed the right push. That night, Jacob cornered me in the kitchen. His teenage anger burned hotter every day, but beneath it was fear he didn't know how to name. Mom, he said, why don't we just tell the cops? Dad's obviously up to something. Let them deal with it. I wanted to say yes. I wanted to believe the police would swoop in, expose everything, and hand me back the life Reuben had stolen. But I knew better. Because without proof, Jacob, I said softly, they won't listen. Your father has money, lawyers, and people who owe him favors. Right now, all we have are suspicions. Jacob's jaw tightened. Then we need proof. Fast. His words echoed in my head long after he stormed upstairs. The following day, Grant and I decided to push harder. We drove back to the south side, to a rundown neighborhood where Denton lived. His house sagged with neglect, paint peeling, blinds drawn tight. A rusted truck sat in the driveway. We knocked. No answer. But as we turned to leave, the door cracked open. Denton's face appeared, pale and hollow-eyed. What do you want? His voice shook. Grant spoke calmly. We just want to talk. Off the record. No one has to know. Denton glanced over his shoulder, like shadows were listening. Then he hissed, You don't get it. They'll kill me if I talk. My heart stuttered. Who, Denton? Reuben? Mercer. He flinched at Mercer's name, then slammed the door shut. The sound reverberated through me. Grant exhaled slowly. He's cracking. But we can't corner him like this. We'll need leverage. Something he values more than his fear. I nodded, but my mind raced. If Mercer's grip on Denton was that strong, then we were closer to the truth than I'd realized. Close enough for them to start panicking. That night, as I tucked Emily into bed, she whispered, Mom, do you ever think Dad loved us? Really loved us? The question stabbed deep. I brushed her hair back, my throat tightening. Yes, sweetheart. I think he did. But sometimes love gets twisted when people choose greed over family. She looked at me with wide, tearful eyes. Then we'll just have to love each other harder. I kissed her forehead, my chest aching. My children were stronger than they should have to be. Stronger than me, some days. And it reminded me why I couldn't stop. After the house grew quiet, I sat alone at the kitchen table again, staring at the pile of documents. Mercer's fingerprints were everywhere. On the will, on the property, on Denton. Reuben thought he had a fortress. But every fortress has cracks. And I was learning exactly where to strike. The house felt smaller every day, like Reuben's shadow stretched through the walls, watching, listening. Even when I was alone, I felt his presence, smirking, waiting for me to slip. After Denton slammed the door on us, I couldn't stop replaying his face in my mind. Pale, hollow, desperate. He wanted to talk, I knew it. Fear had sealed his lips, but desperation was a language louder than silence. We just had to speak it. 2 mornings later, I spotted the black sedan again, this time parked across from Emily's school. My chest tightened. Grant didn't waste time. He called in a favor, and by evening, we had a name, Jonas Crow. A fixer. A ghost with no paper trail except speeding tickets and a gun charge that had mysteriously vanished. Reuben's muscle, Grant muttered, tapping the file. This isn't just intimidation. He's making sure you know you're being watched. The bile in my throat burned. He's trying to scare me quiet. Grant met my eyes. Then we don't go quiet. We changed tactics. That night, we sat in the diner, the same one where this nightmare had begun. A storm brewed outside, lightning flashing through the rain-slicked windows. We can't wait for Denton to volunteer, Grant said, leaning close over his coffee. We force his hand. We show him we know more than we do. Make him think Mercer's already left him behind. I swallowed. Bluff him. Exactly. The thought made my palms sweat, but I nodded. Desperate men don't cling to loyalty. They cling to survival. Back home, Jacob paced the living room like a caged lion. His anger was turning sharper, more focused. Mom, you can't keep letting Dad push us around like this, he snapped. He's treating us like we're already beaten. His words cut, because part of me did feel beaten. But I lifted my chin. We're not beaten. We're building our case. And when it cracks open, he'll fall harder than he ever expected. Jacob stared at me, then something softened in his face. Then let me help. I can handle more than you think. For the first time, I realized he wasn't just angry. He was ready. The next day, I went back to Denton's house alone. Grant had warned me not to, but something told me Denton needed a softer hand this time, not a lawyer's strategy. I stood on his porch, the air thick with cigarette smoke leaking from the cracks of the door. When he opened it, his eyes widened with panic. You need to leave, he hissed. Denton, I said softly, I know you're in over your head. I know Mercer's got you pinned. But men like him? They don't stay loyal. When things go south, he won't save you. He'll bury you. His jaw clenched, but I saw it. The flicker of doubt, the splinter in his fear. Please, I pressed, lowering my voice. If you help me, I can help you. Protect you. But if you stay silent, you'll go down with him. He shut the door again. But not as fast this time. That night, I got my answer. A plain envelope slid under my front door. Inside was a crumpled receipt from a private bank. The name on it made my heart pound. Mercer Holdings, LLC. The handwriting scrawled across the bottom read, Asterisk, he's hiding it here. Don't tell him it came from me. I sat there at the kitchen table, hands trembling, staring at proof. Real proof. For the first time, I felt the fortress shake. Reuben thought he was untouchable. But now I had a map to the cracks. And I was ready to start breaking them wide open. Asterisk. The envelope sat on the table all night, daring me to touch it again. The bank receipt was flimsy, faded, but it carried more weight than anything I'd held since this nightmare began. I couldn't sleep. Every creak of the house sounded like footsteps. Every car outside made me wonder if Reuben's shadow man was circling again. But beneath the fear, there was fire. For the first time, I wasn't just chasing rumors. I had something real. By morning, I was in Grant's office. He leaned back in his chair, eyes narrowing at the paper. Mercer Holdings, LLC, he muttered. That's no coincidence. Mercer isn't just Reuben's partner, he's his banker. The words made me shiver. I thought of Mercer's cold smile in court, the way his eyes had lingered on me like I was already a memory. Grant tapped the receipt. If we can trace this account, we might find where the stolen money went. But Mercer's smart. He won't leave it under his name. We'll need someone inside. Inside? I asked. A clerk. A whistleblower. Somebody who's seen too much and hates their boss just enough to talk. I thought of Denton and how close he'd come to breaking. One small crack had given me this. Maybe more cracks were waiting. At school pickup, Emily chattered about her day, but Jacob sat brooding beside me in the car. You're distracted, he said flatly. I glanced at him. So are you. He leaned forward. Dad called me today. My hands froze on the steering wheel. What? He told me to stay away from you. Said you were poisoning me against him. Jacob's throat tightened. He promised me a car if I moved in with him. My stomach twisted. Jacob, he's trying to buy you. He doesn't care about you. He cares about control. Jacob's jaw flexed. I know. I just wanted you to hear it from me. I reached across and squeezed his hand. Thank you for telling me. But inside, I was shaking. Reuben wasn't just circling me anymore, he was going after the kids. That night, I caught sight of the black sedan again. Parked further down the street this time, headlights off, like a vulture waiting for a signal. I yanked the curtains shut and paced. He wanted me rattled. He wanted me to break. But I wouldn't. Not now. Not with Denton's envelope in my hand. 2 days later, Grant and I walked into a quiet downtown cafe. At a corner table sat a young woman with sharp eyes and a badge clipped to her blazer. Paulina, Grant said softly, meet Tessa. She works at the bank. My pulse jumped. Tessa leaned forward, lowering her voice. I've seen things I'm not supposed to. Transfers that don't make sense. Shell companies, offshore accounts. Mercer runs it all. And your husband? He's the beneficiary on more than one. My mouth went dry. So he didn't just steal my inheritance. He buried it. Tessa nodded grimly. And if Mercer goes down, Reuben goes with him. I walked out of that cafe with my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Reuben thought he'd bought silence. He thought intimidation would keep me paralyzed. But piece by piece, the silence was breaking. And when it shattered, it wouldn't just expose him. It would destroy him. When I left that cafe with Grant and Tessa, the city air felt heavier than ever. My lungs worked, but every breath tasted like smoke, like I was walking through the ruins of my own life. Mercer Holdings. Offshore accounts. My husband's name tangled in it, all like a spider coiled in its own web. Don't hold on to that paper, Tessa warned before slipping away. If Mercer finds out I spoke to you, I'm finished. Her words echoed in my mind long after she was gone. Grant and I sat in his car in silence. Finally, I whispered, so it's real. He really funneled the money away. Grant glanced at me. It's not just about you anymore, Paulina. This could turn into federal fraud. If we get enough proof, it'll drag Mercer and Reuben both into the light. My chest tightened. Proof. That's the word we keep circling, isn't it? Always one step away. Grant's hand tapped the steering wheel. We're closer than ever. And Tessa just risked everything to give us that. I nodded, but in my gut, I felt the clock ticking. That evening, Jacob barely touched his dinner. He sat across from me, shoulders hunched, eyes darting to the window as though he half expected Reuben to stroll in. Mom, he said suddenly, what if Dad's right? I set down my fork slowly. Right about what? About you. About chasing him. What if it's dangerous? What if you lose everything? My heart ached at the fear in his voice. I reached for his hand. Sweetheart, I already lost everything when he walked out. All that's left now is to fight for what's ours. Emily, ever the firecracker, piped up from her seat. Good? Then we'll fight too. Her words sparked something in me I didn't know I needed. Later, when the kids were in bed, I spotted another letter shoved halfway through the mail slot. My chest froze as I pulled it out. A note in bold black ink. Stop digging or you'll bury yourself. The handwriting was familiar. Too familiar. Not Reuben's. Not Mercer's. Karen's. The betrayal slammed into me like a train. My closest friend, the woman I'd wept with over coffee, the one who swore she had my back, was in on it. The next morning, I stormed into Karen's boutique. She was arranging dresses on a rack when she spotted me, her smile faltering. Paulina, what? I slammed the note onto the counter. Explain this. Her face drained of color. She tried to speak, but nothing came out. After everything, I said, my voice trembling, you side with him? Karen swallowed hard. It's not what you think. Then make me understand, I snapped. She leaned closer, lowering her voice. Reuben promised to cover my debts. The store. I was drowning. He said all I had to do was keep him informed. I never wanted to hurt you, Paulina. You just chose him over me. The silence that followed was worse than any scream. I walked out before my legs betrayed the shaking inside me. That night, I told Grant everything. He sat forward, jaw set like stone. This confirms what we already know, he said. Reuben is tightening his circle, buying loyalty where he can. But people like Karen? They break. And when she breaks, she'll be another crack we can use. I shook my head, my chest aching. I can't think of her as a weapon. She was my friend. Grant's gaze softened. Then think of her as proof. Proof that Reuben is running scared. As I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, I realized something chilling. Reuben wasn't untouchable anymore. He was desperate. And desperate men make mistakes.